Hey guys, welcome to the program. It is Thursday. It is September 11th. It is 9/11. It's a tragic day. It's a tragic day of memory. But I'm glad that you're with us. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad we're here together. And the reason I'm glad is because family matters, and I believe that we're family. We've been doing this for a long time. I was thinking about this yesterday, how long that we have been spending time together. I often jokingly say just running our mouth. If you can make a living running your mouth, it's a pretty good job. I've often joked in that way. But what we're learning is running your mouth can get you hurt, can get you killed. We knew that. We've always known that it was a risk to open your mouth and try to speak truth, speak your opinion, discuss, debate, dialogue. And we saw that yesterday. We commemorate it 24 years later after 9/11. People get sacrificed at the altar of truth, ideologies, philosophies. And so I just want us to sit together for a little while today. I don't know what we're going to talk about or what we're going to say. I have some speculation, some things we're going to get into. I'm going to ramble with you a little bit. I think you'll be encouraged. I hope you'll be encouraged. I know there's a lot of stuff you can go watch and you can get into what the FBI is saying, and you can talk about conspiracies, or you can look into the investigations. And we might allude to some of that here in a little bit, what we know, what we wonder, what we speculate. But at this point in time, it is still speculation. I want to be careful because we're dealing with people's memories. And it is something we get to do in this country, to speak freely, although that is being threatened in a lot of ways. But we can remember. We have the freedom to publicly remember those who have gone before us and those who have made a sacrifice, in many cases the ultimate sacrifice. If you follow me for any length of time, folks, you know that I often talk about those who put on a uniform every day with the willingness to serve and sacrifice and give their lives potentially for our freedom, our military members, our veterans, those who are overseas, those who are right here at home, those who have pledged an oath to protect us from enemies, foreign and domestic. And many have paid that ultimate sacrifice. And then there's civilians who are caught up in the melee of ideology, and they've lost their lives because of it. We remember that on 9/11. We remember right where we were when we found out that the Trade Center had been hit. We remember all of the things that happened that day, moment by moment. And you'll always remember where you were yesterday when you got the news about our friend Charlie Kirk. So yesterday reminded us just exactly how fragile life is. And I say that not only because of Charlie, but I was also touched with tragedy in my own family yesterday. One of my immediate family members died unexpectedly. I found that out yesterday morning just after our show and our time together. So I was already in a state of grief and shock when a text message came through telling me about my friend Charlie. So I was numb yesterday, and I'm still numb. And many of you woke up today with a heaviness. And it's okay. It's okay. We're going to talk about that today, because you're reminded of the frailty and fragility of life. And we know just how fragile it was. We were reminded yesterday. But today also reminds us just how costly freedom is. Because these aren't just dates on the calendar. These are moments that are shaking the soul of a nation. So if you look at the anniversary of 9/11, how the sting of yesterday's tragedy kind of hit us like a gut punch. We're still trying to get the breath back in our lungs. It hurts. It does. But I want to remind you of something. The weight that you feel right now, it's not meant to bury you. It's not meant to pile on top of you to the point where you don't know what to do. No, it's meant to forge you. Steel doesn't become strong without the fire. And America's not going to be strong. You're not going to be strong without a little bit of a trial. Now, this is more than a little bit of a trial, because we're living in a world where we know that evil doesn't sleep. My phone was literally ablaze, not only yesterday with messages of I love you, but also messages of I hate you. I too received messages. Everybody who speaks and has any level of platform whatsoever was receiving those messages of the "you're next." Don't go into public because you're next. There are people who are friends, people who love me, who were saying, keep your head on a swivel, watch where you go, don't be next. Not the most encouraging thing that you could say to somebody. But evil doesn't pause for the holidays. It doesn't take a break. It doesn't take a time out. It's relentless, and we're reminded of that. And folks, if you don't stay awake, if you don't keep watch, if we don't, pass on courage, not only to our families now, but to the next generation, then the evil wins without even firing a shot. But America wasn't built on apathy, folks. America was built on vigilance. Our fathers and our mothers didn't hand us this land of freedom, or whatever we want to call it today, but they didn't hand us this legacy so we could curl up in despair and watch the world burn. They handed it to us with some blood-stained hands and said, I want you to guard this, protect this, and keep it free. Charlie Kirk used to echo something that Ronald Reagan said, and that is freedom is one generation away from extinction. I just said it to an audience the other night in Indiana. He'd remind young people that truth is not passed on in the bloodstream. You got to fight for it. You got to teach it. You got to stand for it. And if you don't, the culture vultures and the tyrants, the radicals who hate the truth and the truth of God and the foundation of this nation, they're going to be more than happy to take your place. You can't leave a vacuum. And that's why today, in the middle of grief, we're going to rise up. We're going to rise with clear eyes and strong backs. We're going to rise with voices that can't be silenced, to hearts that will not be conquered, can't be conquered. Because this isn't the hour to give up, folks. This is the hour to lock arms, to come together, to speak louder than ever before, to remember who we are, to remember who it is that holds this nation in his hands. And that's God. Charlie used to say, tell the truth in love, but never compromise the truth. I like that. A lot of people said, and I've seen the memes that are out there of Charlie saying he hated the word empathy. And, people love to quote things out of context. The word empathy, it has become toxic in a lot of ways. So that's why I love the phrase, tell the truth in love, but never compromise the truth. And if you really think about that, it's the only way forward because lies are tearing up our culture. Lies about identity and lies about history and lies about morality and lies that call evil good and good evil. And if we don't speak the truth, if we don't live with the courage to actually say out loud what we know in our hearts is real, then those lies will become the law of the land. So we're grieving today. And it's okay to grieve. I actually wrote a book on grief called Born from Meaning. It's amazing. I was rereading some of the pages of this book, and I was like, I wrote this book about grief and tragedy and our heartbreak. It's okay to grieve. But we need to pray, and we need to honor those who are fallen, and we need to still rise up because we rise when we know our despair is not our destiny. We rise because freedom's not a luxury, it's a responsibility. We rise because the God who blessed this nation with his providential hand, he hasn't fallen asleep and he's not abandoned his people. So today we're going to let the memory of 9/11 do more than sadness. We're going to let it awaken us once again. We're going to let the heartbreak of yesterday remind us that there's still evil in the world and it must be resisted with everything we've got. We're going to let it remind us that courage is contagious. That's another thing that Charlie said. That light shines brightest in the darkness, that truth spoken boldly has the power to cut through even the loudest chorus of lies. See, Charlie, I think, would look at his audience in the eyes today and he would say, America's worth saving. And I believe that with all my heart because America is worth saving. Your family is worth protecting. Your children's future is worth fighting for. And as long as we still have breath in our lungs and freedom in our veins, the fight's not over. So here's my challenge to you before we even get into the show. Don't let the fire in your soul go out. I want you to guard it. I want you to feed it. I want you to let it burn with a holy anger against just the evil that's amongst us, a righteous indignation, but yet a holy love for truth. And I want you to let it push you to pray harder, to work harder, stand taller, because when the dust settles, history's not going to remember those who stayed quiet. It's going to remember the Charlie Kirks of the world, the Todd Beamers of the world. It's going to remember those who stood up and said, let's roll. We're living in serious times. Serious times require serious people. So I want you to stand up, rise up, stand firm, speak boldly. Never forget we're Americans. We are Americans. And there are those out there who hate us for saying it. But as Americans, we don't quit. We don't bow. We don't back down. So this is our time. And by the grace of God, we're not going to lose. Make sure you're blowing up that chat. I want to see you guys put Charlie in the chat. You can put Kirk in the chat. Just CK, put him in there. Let's remember him today. He's such a good guy. I got a personal story I want to tell you about Charlie, an interaction we had that just tells you the kind of person that Charlie was and is. Because he still is. His legacy will live on. Oh, multiplied. I said on Newsmax last night, Charlie Kirk's blood will cry out from the ground exponentially as a martyr. Oh, I am more invigorated. You can send me the hate messages. You can tell me what you want to do to me. Tell me you want to meet me, fight me, do all the things to me. I am more invigorated and inspired than ever before to tell you folks the truth. Whatever audience God by his grace chooses to give me, I will promise you I will never back away from the truth that I believe is built on the foundations of God himself. Those foundations of liberty, man, I'm telling you. Blow up the chat. Let me see you guys. Make sure you're subscribed to the show, man, because we're just getting better and better. And we're getting bigger and bigger in the sense that our voice is being amplified in a big way. This morning on Before the Noise, we had about 6,000 or 7,000 people watching that. That's amazing, watching me tie in the tragedy of these current events to John chapter 7 for, I went long. I was long-winded this morning, 15 minutes. 15 minutes. But man, thank you for tuning into that. Before we go any further, I want to tell you a personal story about Charlie, but before we get into that, I want to ask you to support this show. You know, we bring this show, we don't put it somewhere where you got to pay a subscription to it, but I want you to help us, and here's how you help us. You call our friends over at Birch Gold. You don't even have to call them, you just text them. Text Chad, C-H-A-D, you know I spell it Chad, to 989898. They want to send you a free, no obligation information kit on how you can diversify your future, backed by gold, an IRA, tax-sheltered IRA backed by physical gold. The dollar is being deregulated. It's being attacked by the BRICS nations. It's coming down. Gold, however, has gone up, up, up in value because that's what it does in uncertain times. And so I want you to take that old 401k or savings account or whatever it is. The money's just sitting there, not doing anything. Let Birch Gold help you. They got an A+ rating with a Better Business Bureau, tens of thousands of satisfied customers. They're not going to bug you. They're not going to hound you. They're going to get your address, and they're going to send you a free, no obligation information kit on how you can do this, and they'll help you do it. They're good people, good friends, smart people, and they know how to help you. You've also got a rebate going on now through the end of the month. You could get up to $10,000 rebate in precious metals if you're a buyer from them on gold or silver. If you're a first-time buyer with Birch Gold, give them a call, or when you text them, Chad, to 989898, you might get that rebate. So, hey, you might be exponentially adding to your money. So do that. Talk to them. Ask them about it. Tell them I sent you by sending Chad to 989898. I'm going to get Party Foul Steve on here in a minute, but before I do, let me just tell a story, because Steve was with me when this happened. But I just want to tell this because I was just thinking and weeping and just so many emotions yesterday. But I remember this time, this one moment with Charlie that kind of stuck with me. And it says kind of everything about who he was. We were speaking at an event together, and he was tucked away in a green room before it all started. And now by that point, this was a number of years ago, Charlie was already a recognizable figure. This was about 2019, I want to say. And his name was already carrying weight. His voice was being heard across America. His influence was kind of going up like a tidal wave. I mean, he was just really on top of things at that point. But when he saw me walk in the room, you know, a lot of times people will just kind of lean back and wait for you to come to them because they're somebody. Charlie didn't do that. Charlie jumped up from his seat like an old friend spotting somebody he had missed. And we really didn't know each other at that point in time. He ran across the room, literally, I mean, with urgency in his step. He ran across the room with that big old grin of his, 6'5", he's a big old boy. And he stuck his hand out and he said, "I'm Charlie Kirk. I've been on your show before." I know exactly who you are. Of course you've been on my show before. I want you to think about that, though. He didn't lead with his status or his reach or any of his reputation. He didn't assume everybody should just automatically know who he was, though by then most people already did. Instead, he still introduced himself as if I were the important one and as if he needed to remind me where our paths had crossed. That was Charlie. He was humble even in the midst of the fame that he had. I don't think he thought about it. I really don't, because he was grounded, even as the spotlight was getting hotter in his life. And I'll always remember that, because in that small gesture, in that quick moment of humility, you could see the core of a man. That Charlie never forgot that he was just a servant of truth. Just a kid, really. He realized his mission was bigger than who he was and his name, and that people mattered more than the platform. And he knew popularity was going to come and go, but integrity and kindness and humility, those were the things that were going to speak louder and last longer. So I'll never forget that introduction. Not because I needed to be reminded of who Charlie was, I didn't, but because it reminded me of what kind of man he chose to be. And that was long before the history books, and they will write about his impact. And before the world debates his words and legacy, I'll remember that handshake. I'll always remember the humility. And I remember the friend, even when the world knew his name, still took the time to say, I'm Charlie Kirk. I think that's the kind of character America needs. That's the kind of leader Charlie was. And that's the kind of memory I'm going to carry with me. So I hope that blesses you. He was just a good guy. He was a good guy. And speaking of good guys, let's bring him on. Party Foul Steve, what's up, buddy? What's going on?
Oh, man, heavy, heavy hearts. And I just want to say that thank you for the words of encouragement and just you're able to put into words what I'm not able to and do it, but it just brought realness to what you do. And it's like, man, you know, the threats and stuff over the years that we've encountered and went through is just it just hit really hard
Yeah.
because a lot of times that's just somebody on the internet and you just go about your business. You keep a watch on things and stuff like that. But that just
Yeah.
yesterday in the over and over, and I couldn't get away from it. And
Yeah.
the text messages that I received and from everybody, and so thankful for reaching out and saying, hey, I didn't know Charlie on a very personal level. Of course, we've done events with him, and he's been on the show, and he was always just the most kindest, good person.
Yeah.
And of course, I always felt really dumb when he was in the room because I think you do that to me on purpose. Let's see how many smart people I can put in the room with Party Foul Steve and make him feel dumb. But Charlie never made me feel dumb when speaking
No.
to him. He just
He was a
one of the
good guy.
He could talk. He was a good guy. He could talk sports with you. He could talk about anything, and he's one of the most persuasive people that you could speak to. He's one of the ones that influenced my. I was always kind of in the middle on the abortion thing. After years and years of between you and him, I'm pro-life. And because of your influence and his influence, I changed my stance. And so it's I don't even know what to say.
Yeah. And I think you're saying it all. I think your emotions say it all. I was getting messages from people yesterday. I could name them off and people would know who they are. But people who are in the entertainment industry, people who have really not picked a political side, people who sort of say, yeah, the world's crazy. You talk about it. There are folks out there in the comedy world who are like, dude, why did you get into why do you ever talk about politics? Like, you could have had this huge career if you hadn't have done all of that. And I'm like, they were messaging me yesterday and they said, now we understand. Now we get it. And again, what happened with Charlie, it wasn't about me or you. I mean, it was a tragedy thing, but it's amazing that even in the loss, even in that sacrifice, and it was a sacrifice, that people's eyes are being opened. People that are on the left, I'm seeing a number of videos and social media posts of people who are on the left, who are fair-minded people, who said, I've always identified with the left. I've always identified as being a liberal. But now I don't recognize anymore. I don't, whether it's the craziness of the squad or these weird ideologies that are being pushed, these 90-10 issues, and the focus on that 10% weirdness. And then they're going to come over and they're going to say, now somebody's been murdered, assassinated, martyred. And they're like, we don't identify with that. And so it'll be interesting to see what this produces,
Yeah,
as tragic as it is.
On the other side of that, to see people celebrate it, and I don't care
Yeah.
who it was, a political assassination, and have someone on my own Facebook friends that celebrated that in some way, and they
Yeah.
gone now. because that's not okay. And
It's not okay.
if it was reversed, they would be ousted as well. So I have no problem. I don't like the extremes of anything except deodorant. And I had no issue unfriending and blocking, and I'm not one of those people that do that because that's just uh uh
Well, I'm the same way. I don't block people. I mean, you really got to get pretty bad, and people have to get. I mean, you got to understand. You got to really bad. Usually, it's when somebody starts attacking somebody that follows my page. Like somebody comments, and then you come and you really start attacking them. Then you're probably going to get blocked. You can attack me. It takes a lot before I block you, and the reason is because I don't want to stifle free speech. I don't want to stifle the dialogue, right? But now sometimes it gets beyond that. It gets into the vitriol. And if it's causing me any emotional stress or it's just putting a heaviness on me, you got to go. Yeah. And I encourage everybody listening to the show to do that. Like jettison those people.
The thing about it is we both have a lot of liberal friends in the music industry but you know what? Some of those were the first to send me a text and say, "Hey brother, thinking about you." Okay. Yeah. I can respect that. That's well, we don't agree on things politically, but we can agree that this is wrong.
I posted a video that I don't know if it went viral or not. A lot of people responded to it. It's from back with I think it was when Charlie and I were sitting in the studio. You were there in the studio too, back when I was on the Blaze. It was either 19 or 20. And he was talking about, it might have been earlier than that, 18. Is that when it was?
I think it's 2020.
Could have been. Okay, so
February of 2020, I think
it was early. Yeah, it was years ago because it was right there at election. It was the second election for Trump. And he was talking about what the left is going to do. And it was very prophetic in that little clip that I put out there because he talked about, I hope that I'm going to be wrong and it'll just be just another day that we all come together in September. And the prophetic nature of what he said there was amazing that he mentioned September. David, if you've got that clip, can we just play that presidency 15 years from now?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
so you sound like me in that regard. People are like, you need to run for something. I'm like, oh, no.
Well, look, I'm having way too much fun. I'm enjoying myself. But this is going to get really nasty. Everyone listen to this. I just hope you understand. Think of the nastiest moment in 2016. They are not going to let this guy get reelected without the most brutal, drawn-out fight. Where the tech companies getting involved. Yeah. The media is going to get worse than ever. They're going to be taking down Twitter accounts left and right. They're going to be taking down videos on YouTube. They are going to be coming after us. They are going to be following us in the middle of the night. They're going to be breaking into our houses. You think I'm joking. They are going to be violent. That you will not be able to walk the streets of the MAGA hat without your physical health be put in jeopardy. And I hope it doesn't get that way. I hope that this clip gets unearthed and everything's like wonderful. I hope that the country comes together and we have a beautiful Unitarian healing moment in September.
Perfect lead into the final question. I mean, that right there, he was right.
That was February of 2020.
February 2020. He was correct on every one of those things. And he was. And somebody commented under that and they said, the problem with Charlie Kirk is he's so divisive. I said, no, the problem with Charlie Kirk is he's now dead. And he's dead because of rhetoric that has weaponized people, that pushed someone. Now, we don't know. I have my speculations on the shooting and the shooter and what's going down. The fact that they don't have any, and I'll just say this, there's other people that know far more than me. I'll say this, I know a lot, but I don't want this episode to be about that, okay? There's other people who know a lot too. You can find out this information from them. But I just know that the fact that we have not apprehended a suspect or a shooter at this stage in the game is very concerning to me. It's very telling to me. It's very bothersome to me. It tells me that there is something afoot that is not good. Tragic. The FBI says they've got camera footage of Charlie's shooter. They're working to identify him. And let me say this, they've got it from multiple angles of this guy. They have a palm print. They got a forearm print. They have a boot print or a shoe print, I should say. I don't understand why security details, and I know a number of the guys on the security details, they're very, of Charlie's security, they're friends of mine. I actually got, I'm not going to say that, but I know them. I know the guys on Charlie's security detail. They're very capable. But just like Butler, Pennsylvania, I don't understand why we're not covering rooftops. I mean, what is going on here? for this to happen like this. This is the FBI. This is what they had to say this morning. Play this clip real quick.
Breakthroughs. We were able to track the movements of the shooter. Starting at 11:52 a.m., the subject arrived on campus, shortly away from campus. We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location. After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood. Our investigators have worked through those neighborhoods, contacting anybody they can with doorbell cameras, witnesses, and have thoroughly worked through those communities, trying to identify any leads. We do have good video footage of this individual. We are not going to release that at this time. We are working through some technologies and some ways to identify this individual. If we are unsuccessful, we will reach out to you as the media and we will push that publicly to help us identify them. But we are confident in our abilities right now, and we would like to move forward in a manner that keeps everyone safe and moves this process appropriately.
Now, I hope that when they do find this individual, and they will find an individual, I hope that they match this person with these prints that they have, because they found the weapon, they found it was a bolt action, they found the bullet still in the chamber, they found a magazine with 3 more bullets in it. There was an email that was sent to Steven Crowder that I think is true. There was some ideology things that were written on the bullets. Which, again, you can't take that very far, because someone could have done that in order to lead the motives astray, right? That could have been anything. But I do know that there apparently was a well, let's talk about this first before I get into that. President Trump, this is breaking according to Nick Sorter. President Trump just announced he will be posthumously awarding Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That makes me want to play the clip. Let's just play the clip. Hang on, let me get a breath here.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd. Very, very big.
That's had to ban a troll. We'll ban some more if we see them.
Yeah.
We're just talking about banning. Let's let me say something about that real quick. On Steve, I interrupted you a moment ago. Do you still have that thought you were going to make?
No,
Okay.
I mean, it's already gone. I'm sorry. It's because my head's jumping.
I know it is
all over the place, and
I
I
think
apologize.
I
for
think honestly, here's what happened to me yesterday. I got a message from someone who worked for the show. Our friend Elijah. I won't say Elijah's last name. It's Elijah Mayo, our good friend. He's been a friend of the show from way back when I was on the Blaze and did advertising for the Blaze. And he's the one who sent me a text message and said Charlie Kirk's been shot. So I immediately rushed to. I was already in grief. I told you I lost a very dear family member, immediate family member yesterday. And I rushed to see what was going on and jumped on and found the videos that were there. Didn't look good. And I bet I put in 10,000 steps yesterday, Steve, with just responding to people, talking to you, talking to many, many others. My phone was just blowing up, trying to get insider information, trying to find out something. And I just paced. I paced for hours, and until the news came out that Charlie had passed. And I walked outside at one point. I walked outside, and I just looked up at the sky, looked up at the sun, and I just kind of felt the sun. I was praying this entire time, and I was praying for Charlie, praying for his family. And I felt the sun on my face, and all at once, I just felt Charlie, he was gone. And it was in that moment, Steve, you sent me a text message and said, he's gone. And then the news came out. And it was crazy. The crazy thing about it is Charlie was such a, anybody that wants to say anything about Charlie or pull something out of context, the dude was, as you said, he was well-reasoned, he was well thought out. If you ever listen to him in his context, he knew what he was talking about. Very persuasive, as you said.
Polite debater, too.
And I mean, he did it with that little smirk on his face. And he was always gracious. He listened. And, this kind of stuff that pulls this stuff, the little things out of context. These trolls that are out there. Let me tell you the issue. Let me just kind of summarize where we're at as a society and as a culture. And that is this. When people resort to violence or they resort to the insults or whatever, like the trolls, I've deleted a couple of them while we're here. It's because they can't do anything with their own ideas. They can't debate their own ideas, so they have to resort to that kind of garbage. If they got to insult or they got to hide behind their keyboard and do their thing, they can't debate their own ideas. They can't dialogue their own ideas, and so you know what? They're gross, and that's what we're up against in a large way. That's what we're up against. Pull up the Steven Crowder email there. Let's take a look at that. My phone is still blowing up. It'd be cool as if my friends knew that we did a live show.
Yeah, they could tune in. And
they could tune in. David, if you got that Crowder letter, let's pull that thing up. Find it in a second when you get a chance. But I do know that there was a report of, a plane that turned off their radar yesterday that left out of Provo. I don't know if that's true or not. 30 minutes into the flight, it drops off the radar. It's weird to me. Steven Crowder, exclusive this morning, my team received an email from officer at ATF and said the email included a screenshot from what appears to be an internal message describing a weapon and cartridges located at the ATF, other law enforcement near the scene of Charlie Kirk shooting at Utah Valley State University. Scroll down just a little bit, because it says it was a 30-06. It says that was the caliber, bolt action rifle wrapped in a towel, wooded area near the campus. The location of the firearm appears to match the suspect's route of travel. As they said, he jumped off the roof and went into a neighborhood. There were 3 unspent rounds at the top-fed magazine. All cartridges had engraved wording on them expressing ideologies. And, an emergency trace has been submitted to ATF SLC, working leads generated by the trace. So they've got the impressions, apparently, upon completion of forensics, and the firearm will be disassembled for additional importer information. So multiple people of interest have been contacted or detained for questioning. So this was the message that he got in from ATF today. This was not information that was released today in the FBI press briefing. So, what do we think? A lot of people think that this could have been a professional deal. There's also the guy who seemingly is celebrating and looking back up towards. There's a clip out there of the guy who is seemingly celebrating. We don't know when that was videoed. The implication is it was after the shot was taken, Charlie went down, and there was the guy who was apparently celebrating, and he was clearly celebrating, his arms in the air, but it looked like he was looking back up towards where the shooter was. Shooter looked to be about 200 yards away on top of the building. If you look at that, there's images of the shooter standing up and running away on the building. It's sort of like this is something I said on David Medina's live stream last night, which was very, very good and informative. It's like taking a picture of the moon. You know how you can never take a picture of the moon with your cell phone and really do it justice because it looks real big in the sky, but it's way far off in your thing. Yeah. There's the shooter right there. This was, in my estimation, Steve, we're both hunters. my estimation on this, based on what we know, probably about 200 yards. I won't call that a chip shot with a 30-06.
It's a pretty plausible shot.
But it's a plausible shot. I could make it. You could make it. This isn't somebody, in my opinion, I don't think this is somebody that just went and bought something off the rack and came out there and popped off a deal. This is more than a bore-sighted rifle. And you can see him running away there on top of the deal. And just a tragic, tragic deal. When we saw the close-up videos, so many people were asking me, is Charlie okay? There was the insider information that I was getting from certain individuals that were there, or people who know Charlie very well and were close to him, said at one point there was a pulse, but it was, quote, touch and go. Based on what we saw, Steve, that was a kill shot. It was gruesome. It was graphic. I never want to see it again. And the fact that people can smile about this, laugh about this, mock this, they are demonic, ghoulish souls. If you're going to celebrate this, I'm telling you, we know that evil is amongst us, but you have to ask yourself, what is the foundation of evil? Jesus said Satan was a murderer from the beginning. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He says that if you look at somebody with hate in your heart, you've already committed the sin of murder. You can put as much stock in those words of Jesus as you want. But I will say this about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk being a martyr, Acts chapter 1, verse 8, Jesus said to his disciples, you're going to be my witnesses in Jerusalem and Judea, Samaria, to the uttermost parts of the earth. The Greek word there for witness is martyria. We get our English word martyr from that. And in the first century, those disciples, without any technology, turned the world upside down and ultimately they died. They became martyrs. They were dead men on furlough and a witness for the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I believe that Charlie's blood's going to cry from the ground exponentially. We're going to save a generation. And Charlie knew Jesus. Charlie would tell you in a heartbeat, Charlie knew Jesus. He was very outspoken about his faith, and I'm very proud to echo that. They've actually asked me to guest host his show on Monday, which is an honor. Please be praying for me. They've also asked me to do another guest host for his show the following Monday. So I'm honored, humbled to do that. But I know that this is what Charlie would say, and that is that Jesus was his Lord, and he could defend that, and his faith was secure in that. So his blood will cry out from the ground. He was a martyr. And the book of Revelation says they overcame by the word of their testimony the blood of the Lamb, and they loved not their life even unto death. The fact that Charlie was still willing to go out there and publicly put himself in front of crowds like that without glass protection in front of him, it was a conversation. He wanted to have it. He wanted to be face-to-face with these individuals. And the fact that people are saying that bullets are more valuable than ballots, or that assassination is something that should be used, or people say because of his rhetoric there are going to be consequences. Are you saying the assassination or a murder of somebody is the result of those are the consequences of using words? Do you know what this country was founded on? The disagreement and in the debate and the dialogue, the discussions that were had. They hated each other, our founding fathers, many of them. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson were lifelong enemies. But they still came together because there was this thing called freedom and liberty and the Constitution. And so anyway, Steve, I'm bouncing around here. I'm going on and on. But I want to tell another story real quick before we take a little quick to talk about our friends at Patriot Mobile, who were also friends of Charlie Kirk's as well. Years ago when I wrote Am I Crazy?, I sent the manuscript to Charlie, and I said, Charlie, if you don't mind, would you endorse this book? And he said, what am I endorsing here? Because he knew me. He knew, he never knew what he was going to get. I said, I promise you, buddy, take a look at it. It won't be anything that you'd be ashamed of. And he did, man. So if you look at
thing in 6 minutes.
I mean, he probably could. I mean, the guy was a vociferous learner and reader. I mean, it was incredible how knowledgeable he was. I mean, he was a savant. I love that David Harris Jr. this morning referred to him as a savant, and that is truly the way he was. I always joked about Charlie being a little bit on the spectrum, maybe a lot of it. But man, what a smart guy, and just sharp and quick. But yeah, if you look at the back of Am I Crazy, there's Charlie's name. He endorsed it. He was so gracious to do that and quick to do so. And you never know. There's some people in this industry that maybe ain't so great. Maybe they're not the nicest people. And then there's some guys that are really salt of the earth. And I thought Charlie was. I thought Charlie really was. But, it's an honor for them to ask me to guest host his show on Monday for a segment. We're going to do about 30 minutes, I think, of that. They were asking a few people. And then the following Monday as well. So please be praying for me. All right, let me talk about my friends over at Patriot Mobile real quick. We'll get into some more stuff, some hopeful stuff. Some encouraging stuff. It is 9/11, and we don't want to let that slip by on the 24th anniversary. Our friends at Patriot Mobile, they're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They use the same towers as the Big Three. The difference between them and Big Three is not the coverage, not at all. It's not the customer service, not at all. It's the fact that they don't send a portion of your bill when you pay it to the leftist causes that are out there, those progressive nonsense causes, things like Planned Parenthood. Actually, Patriot Mobile believes in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. They believe in your right to free speech. They supported guys like Charlie Kirk. They believe in your Second Amendment rights. They believe in the things you do. So I want you to switch over to them. Now more than ever is when we need to get behind these companies who have stood strong and made their own sacrifices financially and economically and in terms of entrepreneurial businesses like Glenn Story and the gang over at Patriot Mobile have. You need to switch over today to Patriot Mobile. You're going to get the same coverage, 100% U.S.-based customer service team. They're affordable. They got the package you need. They'll do whatever combination of things you need. If you need to switch you need a new number on your old phone or a new phone on your old number, a whole new package, they got what'll fit you. And if you use promo code CHAD at patriotmobile.com/CHAD, they'll give you a free month, and if you're a veteran or a military member or first responder, they'll give you free activation. I got a good feeling if you called them at 972-PATRIOT and told them I sent you, they might do that for you anyway. I bet you they might. Call them up, 972-PATRIOT, and talk to them, and you'll understand them. And also go to patriotmobile.com/Chad. Steve, don't make me cry on this show, Steve.
I'm not going to apologize for crying.
Don't ever.
It's not going to do it. I'm a human. I'm a human being. You're a human being. It's an emotion. And let me tell you, I glanced over at Turning Point USA Facebook page, and it's every time I look at it in the last 24 hours, it just keeps growing. So Charlie's message is going to just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I love it.
We had to ban. I love it too, and I love you guys in the chat. I love you guys so much that watch this show. I'm laughing because Jazz and Gene said, "Pray for sleeping dick wound." We had to ban sleeping dick wound 5 minutes ago because of his trolling. But not every day do you hear a prayer request for sleeping dick wound.
Yeah, that's a. I don't know.
That's why I love you guys.
I'm glad I wasn't looking at the chat when that was going on, because I don't need to see it, because I don't look at I look at our Rumble page. I watched those, so I know it was in there, but I didn't look at that when that was happening. So, but I don't go back and look through other chats and stuff like that, because I don't like hate on anyone.
I know. I don't like it either. When I started this brand, this brand of stuff that I do on social media, I used to use a couple of hashtags back when hashtags were a thing. 10 years ago, I always put hashtag watch Chad and hashtag smile. I wanted people to smile. We've lost that. Pull that Stephen Miller thing back up there again, David. I want to take a look at that. This is Eric Doherty. Stephen Miller declares after Charlie Kirk assassinated that America is facing off against an ideology that has steadily been growing in this country, which hates everything that is good, righteous, and beautiful, and celebrates everything that is warped, twisted, and depraved. And he's right. Hold tight on that real quick. I want to say this comment. Whether, people say, well, this is a professional hit. I've heard people say this was Israel. I've heard people say, oh, man, I hear everything. But at the end of the day, what I see is the individuals online who are expressing hate, and it is twisted and warped, and it is evil. But he said, we see the workings of this ideology in every posting online cheering the evil assassination that cruelly robbed this nation of one of its greatest men. Postings from those in positions of institutional authority. There's going to be a lot of job openings, I'm hoping, at the end of this week.
Yes.
People have said people are stupid. But there's been educators, healthcare workers, therapists, government employees, people celebrating, reveling in the violent, sinister, with the most chilling glee. The fate of millions depends upon the defeat of this wicked ideology. The fate of our children, our society, our civilization hinges on it. And it is disgusting, some of the stuff that I've seen.
And a lot of the hate that I've seen against Charlie Kirk was not because of his going on college campuses, not because of some of this. It was because he supported Donald Trump. A lot of the hate is
Well,
because
I
he
had,
supported
you're
Donald
not wrong, Steve. I had someone this morning come at me who said, this is all Trump's fault. And I said, would you please tell me, you brainwashed TDS, Riri, cry lib cry, progressive fool. Would you please tell me exactly what it is that Donald Trump has done to make you think that everybody's supposed to have the consequences of assassination? Tell me what Donald Trump has said. And I said, because I can tell you what the left has done. I can tell you what Barack Obama's done. I can tell you what Joe Biden said. I can tell you what Kamala Harris has said. I can tell you what Adam Schiff has said. I can tell you what the 91 indictments say. I can tell you what raiding Roger Stone's home at 5 a.m. I can tell you what putting unaccused people from January 6th in prison without charge, putting them in solitary confinement. I can tell you what that does. I can tell you what the lies about January 6th are. I can tell you the burying of information, the lies about good people on both sides. I can tell you all of these things. I can tell you about setting back racial relations in this country 75 years on the part of Barack Obama. I can tell you about wanting to goddamn America, Reverend Jeremiah Wright. I can tell you about Michelle Obama saying for the first time ever she was proud of this nation. I can tell you about Barack Obama saying he wanted to fundamentally change this country. I can tell you about the hateful rhetoric. I can show you the emails that I get. I've never sent anyone a threatening message. I've got people that want to meet up with me, come to one of my shows. Steve, we've had to hire extra security. We've had venues as we were traveling into nowhere, Montana, Missoula, Montana. The venue goes, should we cancel the show? Should we not have the show? Should we hire more security? What should we do? Because of the evil death threats that were coming our way. I've seen it. So somebody's going to tell me that Donald Trump is the reason for the hate? You're ignorant. And there are people who say what Charlie Kirk said years ago, that he hated the word empathy. Okay, well, stop taking that out of context. Sometimes I hate the word empathy too because it's used wrongly. He said that school shootings were a necessary evil to protect the Second Amendment. No, what he said was, in a world of freedom, with things like the Second Amendment, you're going to have people who abuse it. There are going to be things that are evils that happen in a culture, and they're going to happen because we have those freedoms. He said, I would rather have the freedoms with the risk and the threat than to rather take those away and the threat that would come and the consequences that would come from not having them. Huge difference. Huge difference. So, yeah, I could get fired up with it. And I keep swearing I'm not going to do it, Steve.
I'll get fired up because I need it. I really
Well,
need it.
I'll just say this. I want to go back to what I said at the beginning. And I know a lot of you weren't around at the beginning of this program, where I said that the things that Charlie stood for, he didn't stand for despair and wringing your hands. He would want you in the middle of grief to rise up. Whether we're thinking about 9/11, and we do need to commemorate 9/11, God bless. I mean, whatever happened there's still so many unanswered questions. I just said the other day, why aren't we asking a lot of these questions these days? But he would want you to rise up with some clear eyes and strong backs. Charlie didn't shy away from that and have those voices that can't be silenced and those hearts that can't be conquered. Because this is not the time for us to give up. We got to come together. And now I'm not saying you're going to be able to come together with the people who fundamentally disagree with you. No, you can still continue to challenge them. But as again, I say this, the blood of the martyrs is going to rise up, and Charlie is one of them. And a lot of eyes are going to be opened up. A lot of eyes are going to be opened up because I was getting messages from people that I know, young people that I know, young college kids that I know, both family as well as friends, kids. They were messaging me. And they were talking about their faith in God, and they were talking about how they're just brokenhearted over this tragedy. But they were talking about their resolve of how they're not going to back down on their messages. I'm talking about 19, 20, 21-year-old kids.
Yeah. It does make you, even me yesterday when I was going through that, because it was a roller coaster. Because you go from pissed off to just grieving, and but it just made me go, you know what? No, what we're doing is right, and we got to get behind the people that to continue his mission. Get behind the Riley Gaines that have been going out with him at these college campuses. There's a bunch of them that have been, right there with him, and they've got to keep doing that to keep the young people engaged.
Yeah, they got to do it. And you know what? There's a lot of people out there. I mean, I saw different clips of or just different screenshots. Will Witt with PragerU has said that, he's gotten a lot of death threats in the last saying, "You're next." I've gotten them. They were talking about Dennis Prager. I mean, Dennis Prager has been basically out of action for the last year because of an accident he had. Mute your mic there, David. The different folks like not Charlie Kirk, but Matt Walsh, and just big names. I could list them all off. I don't want to bring them up because I don't want to put them out there in the forefront of different folks, but just folks that we know, friends of ours. And the people that are out there, it only takes one crazy person. And we've seen in the last couple of weeks, we saw the shooter in Minneapolis who was literally having a conversation with the demons in his head and his heart. We saw the guy there in Charlotte who said that he was having conversations with something going on in his head. This is demonic.
Yeah, and the school shooting in Colorado yesterday, and I still don't know all the details on that. And, but there was, I know 3 or 4 people that were shot at a school. And
there were like three that were hospitalized. I haven't heard the rest on that. I mean, so many things that happened, just overshadowing. I'm telling you, the devil is on a short. He knows he's on a short assignment. He's got to take as many out as he can right now. And I'll tell you the reason why, folks. If you truly want to listen to me here, if you truly want to listen to why I believe we're seeing such I just say it the way I believe it. It's a satanic attack. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. John 10:10. That's what Jesus said. That's in the red letters. People want to talk about, well, you don't know what Jesus said. Jesus was a liberal. He was a socialist. No, he said that Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So if you want to put a lot of stock in liberal Jesus, let's start right there. Satan wants to kill. He wants to kill. And the reason we're seeing so many manifestations right now is I think there's a renewal and an awakening, a revival that's happening in a young generation. I believe that we have something coming forward that is going to blow the doors off in terms of spiritual renewal and an awakening in this country. So this is one. This person said, not going to lie, with everything going on, I'm feeling the pull to go to church and give my life to Jesus. There's a bunch of this happening. These testimonies, and I would encourage you. Can I encourage you to process this with your children and grandchildren? All of these tragedies. Don't think that they're just figuring it out on their own.
Yeah,
whether it's 9/11 or whether it's the things they're getting bombarded with. I mean, they just saw a young man, 31 years old, a father of 2, and a husband to his wife Erica, get shot in the neck yesterday. They saw this. David Medina, at David Medina PDX, our producer, follow him. Charlie is gone from the earth, but he's still bringing people to Jesus. What the devil meant for evil, God is working for good. Romans 8:28 is true, folks. Steve, I love you, buddy.
I love you too. And like I say, I can't thank you enough for, to be a text message away. and then for you to put out what you did this morning or before the noise, because
thank you, brother.
I really needed that right off the bat this morning.
Well, the Lord impressed me, and this is not about me. This is not about me, but I did 30. I started doing the daily prayers 30 days before the election. And what kept kept coming into my mind was when Trump won on November 5th, and Charlie sat there at his desk on TV, and he just shed those tears of celebration because we'd done it. We'd done it. Truth, and I believe truth, as weird as it is for it to be Donald Trump, the guy that we've always known to be who he is, to be the guy who's brought this kind of stuff into light. And there's a lot of folks out there who have made a lot of sacrifices. People say, oh, you've never had a real job. Okay. Maybe not by your standard, but I'll tell you what, we deal with a lot of sacrifice. President Trump, First Lady Melania lay a wreath at the Pentagon in honor of the victims and heroes of 9/11. Trump also signed a book for them writing, "We love you all." 24 years ago today, never, ever forget, and we won't. No. We won't. So play this clip. God bless them for doing this. And just a tragic day. I remember where I was. I know you do as well, Steve.
Yeah.
And Steve, I got it. Well, we got to get into my final thoughts here. I got to make a final thing because that's what we do on the show.
You do that and keep praying for all of us. And thank you, everybody in the chat, for your words
Thanks
of
for being
encouragement.
Here. And make sure you're following Steve at Partyfoul Steve on all the places. Send him $1 on Venmo at Partyfoul Steve. I love you, buddy.
$5.
I love you. I'll talk to you here in just a little bit, man. And make sure you're following at David Medina PDX, our producer. His content is so good and solid. All right, let's get into my final thoughts here. My final word. All right, guys. I knew Charlie. I love Charlie. I wasn't the closest person in the world to Charlie, but I wasn't close to all the people that died on 9/11 either. But it affects all of us. And so today we're kind of sitting in that long shadow of sorrow. You know, the assassination of Charlie, the memory of 9/11, they will forever be etched in our collective soul. We got that fresh sting of violence right now that's reminding us that this world is fragile. It's cruel. And, you know, here's the truth. Here's the truth, folks. And this is why I wrote this book. Pull that line off of me there, David, if you can. Here's why I wrote that book. About Born for Meaning. This is a story about grief. That line in the middle of my face there, if it's still there. This is a book about loss and heartbreak and disappointment that shakes our foundations and leaves us staring at the ruins of what once was. I want you to get this book. I priced this thing not to make money. I wanted to get it in your hand. And I think it's relevant now for those of you who are feeling a heaviness. You can get it over on Amazon. You can get it at bornformeaning.com. And read it. It's a quick read. And what it says is grief doesn't have the final word. Sorrow is not a weakness, folks. Steve crying, me crying. We cry. We're all men at this point. Sorrow is a proof of love. Grief is a proof of love. You don't grieve things you don't love. That's why when the Bible talks about grieving the Holy Spirit, he's grieved because he loves us. You don't grieve what you never cared about. We grieve because something or someone mattered deeply. So when we cry, when we mourn, when our hearts just ache so fiercely and it feels like it could just break in two, and in many cases it's been shattered, is the evidence that life still has some meaning. If you're not grieving, you're not living. I believe it's a sign that the truth still burns inside of you. But grief, let me just tell you, if you leave it unattended, it can become an anchor. It can keep you locked in bitterness. It can keep you locked in rage or despair. You know, the Jews used to put ashes on their head and they'd walk around for a few days. People knew publicly that they were in grief. But after a few days, they wiped the ashes off because there was a time to get rid of the ashes. And the lesson we've got to learn is that sorrow is meant to be carried through, not camped in. It's a valley, not a grave. We walk in it. We don't remain in it. Let me tell you a personal story. Those of you who know, I pastored a church, a couple of churches actually, but I was pastoring a church in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And I was working on a leak underneath my house. I was working on some copper fittings and I was frustrated. And I had to speak on that Sunday. This was on a Saturday. I was working on these pipes and I was frustrated. And I had to preach a message the next day on Sunday morning. And I was like, I haven't had time to prepare. I'm covered in mud and just nasty. And I said, I know what I'm going to do. I just feel impressed to talk to him talk from my heart from Psalm 23. Yea, though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And I did that on that Sunday morning, having no idea that the next 2 days later, on that Tuesday morning, I was going to get a call. We were in the wake of 9/11. We were in the middle of 9/11. We were watching tragedy unfold in front of all of us. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. You know, that's the thing. You don't get to walk over the valley. You don't get to go under it. You don't get to go around it. You walk through the valley of the shadow of death, because if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, I firmly believe that death itself will not hit you. Would you rather get hit by the Mack truck or the shadow of the Mack truck? See, in Christ, you don't get hit by the substance of death. You get hit by its shadow. You blink and it's over. That's what happened for Charlie Kirk. He was a believer in Jesus Christ. He would want you to know that above all things. If you want to remember Charlie Kirk, you got to remember that man who proclaimed Jesus Christ publicly. You can't have a legacy of Charlie without that. He wouldn't want you to. He closed his eyes, and in that moment, he woke up in glory with his Lord. But what do we do? We're left behind. What do we do with the sorrow? Well, I'll tell you what we do. We turn it into resolve. Whether it's terrorists or an inside job or government, whatever, the Illuminati, the Bilderbergers, the Trilateral Commissions, whatever cabal or elitists are out there, whatever happened. You know, on 9/11, those people, they thought they could silence our nation with fear, but America rose from the rubble with a stronger spirit. Those who pull the trigger to kill a man of conviction think they're going to muzzle the voice of freedom. But the truth only multiplies when the silence goes, and what it leaves behind is an incredible legacy. So grief's going to teach us that life is precious and fleeting and sacred. It's going to remind us that we don't have unlimited tomorrows. So we're going to move forward by choosing to live today with purpose. We're going to honor the dead, not by echoing their absence, by carrying forward their light. So today, I want us to take that sorrow and I want us to plant it like a seed. Because I believe out of the soil of our tears, we can grow courage. Out of the ashes of loss, we can rise in the fire of conviction. Out of the silence of grief can come the songs of hope that the future generations are going to sing. I'm not undone. You're not undone. We're not finished. The same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead can dwell in us. And because of that, we can say with confidence, we will rise, we will rebuild, we will remember, and we will rejoice again. So I want you to hold fast today, my dear friends. The night may be long, but the morning is coming. God bless those whom we have lost, and God bless my friend Charlie Kirk. Thank you for tuning in to the Chad Prather Show. Join me tomorrow morning for Before the Noise, 8-7 Central, right here, whether it's on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, or X. I love you guys so much. We're praying together. We're believing with each other that sacrifice is going to echo upon the shores of eternity, and many, many are going to come not only to the light of truth, but also come to the light of Christ. Folks, thank you for being a part of the Chad Prather Show. 10 years I've been doing this, and I've been blessed to do it. You guys have made it all worthwhile, and we're going to continue doing it. Pray for me. I'm praying for you. I try to tell you all the time. Make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, do all the things, because I'd love to watch this family grow. I'd love to see us come together and encourage one another more and have an opportunity to grow this voice that we have together. All right, folks, go to bornformeaning.com. You can also go to beforethenoise.com and get caught up on some of my morning episodes. It's all in one place. I also have some daily writings that are there, and you can follow me on social media at Watch Chad. I appreciate you so much. I will talk to you tomorrow morning before the noise, and for this show, we'll see you back on Monday. Until then, God bless you, and I'll talk to you later.